Good evening, viewers. Hello, we have a question here. I want us to solve this vector question. This question is commonly assessed in KCSE examination, so let's do it together. The question reads, express the following vectors in terms of P and Q. We have our triangle here, and our triangle is triangle OPQ, whereby vector OP is equal to P vector. Vector OQ is equal to Q vector. Vector OR has a point that divides it internally, which is 2:1, and we have vector PQ. So for us to determine vector PQ, we are going to use the vector method and move from vector P to vector Q. And for us to achieve that, we will use the root PO plus OQ. So it will be equal to PO plus OQ. So for us to determine vector PQ, we will have PQ is equal to PO if OP is P vector, PO will be negative P vector because we are going against OP. So it will be negative P vector plus OQ is equal to Q vector. OQ is equal to Q vector. Therefore, this can also be written as Q minus P vector. And by doing that, we are done determining the vector PQ. Let's proceed to vector SQ. So for us to determine vector SQ, we are moving from S to Q, and this is the direction of our vector. So for moving from S to Q, we will use the root SO plus OQ. So it will be SO plus OQ. Observing from our triangle, we can see that S divides OP in the ratio of 1:1. Therefore, for us to determine SQ, we will conclude that SO is equal to a half of PO. So it will be a half of PO. PO is equal to negative P plus OQ, which is equal to Q vector. So our SQ will be equal to negative a half P vector plus Q vector. And that will be our answer. SQ is equal to Q minus a half P. So let's proceed to determine our last vector, OR. Our last vector, OR. So we will do our last vector, OR, in this particular part. So vector OR, we are moving from O to R. From O to R, we will use the root OP plus PR. We will use the root OP plus PR. So that will be equal to OP plus PR. So OR will be equal to OP is equal to P vector plus PR. R is the midpoint of PQ, and if R is the midpoint of PQ, that will give us a half of PQ, and our PQ is equal to Q minus P. This is our PQ, Q minus P. So we'll end up having OR is equal to P plus a half Q minus a half P. So OR, when we put our like terms together, we will have P minus a half P will be equal to a half P plus a half Q. So that is how we determine position vectors. Thank you so much for following up. Ensure that you approach more questions so that you will perfect on vectors. Have a blessed evening. Thank you.